Welcome back to the Real with Joseph Labin. I am Joseph Labin. Hope you guys are having a great Wednesday afternoon. Welcome into the Real. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, and share. I'd really appreciate that. Helps us with the algorithm. So appreciate you guys for tuning in and taking time out of your day to come watch us and listen to us. My man Hummel's gonna be pulling back up here again momentarily. You're gonna see a lot of Hummel and I on this show. Hummel's obviously a great guy, but he's very good at the podcasting game, and he gives a lot of great insights and takes, especially with the Cavs and just life. We got another on the back end of the show. Hummel's actually going to lead a topic today regarding to some more real life situations and things, and sharing our wisdom and life from our experiences. But we're going to start off today's show. We're talking about some Browns football. Kyler Murray is now officially a free agent. And as the Arizona Cardinals released him, obviously Kyler Murray was the number one overall pick back in 2009 to the Cardinals. Had some good years, had some really good moments, put out some numbers, and then had some moments where either he was injured or, like last year wasn't a great year. Um, in terms of Kyler Murray as a franchise quarterback, I've never believed he's a franchise quarterback. Not because of a talent perspective. Talent wise, Kyler Murray is very talented, no doubt about it. He could throw the ball down the field. He can extend the plays. He can do a lot of. He's like a magician on his feet when he's extending those plays. You can watch a lot of his highlights, especially in 2024. I went back and watched a lot of them yesterday to refresh my mind. He's like a magician out there, and I think Kyler Murray, when he's healthy, can be very effective. Now, I just don't think he's a franchise guy because his health, because of his size. I think he's too undersized, especially the AFC North. And there have been, I got to point out, I mean, there's been rumors out there from people that I trust on the internet. I know Coach JB, he mentioned on his show what he heard behind the scenes about Kyler Murray and some of his leadership and just, is that somebody you want to bring in? I don't know. I don't know. Who knows what the structure was like out there in Arizona? I think now with Todd Monken here in Cleveland, a more hard-headed coach, I think whoever you are coming in, you're not going to be that same person when you leave. I think you will be, you know, either the guy and improved or a lot better, or you're just going to flame out. Because I think Todd Monken is a no nonsense guy, but he's a proven guy. If there's anybody who could do it, I think it's a guy like him because he did it with a guy like Stetson Bennett in college who was undersized, right? He did it with Lamar Jackson. Obviously, he was very talented, mobile guy, kind of similar to Kyler, but a lot better. But Kyler has some similarities to Lamar's game where he likes to use his legs and extend plays, and he can run a little bit. So the size is obviously a question mark to me. And, now the interesting thing about Kyler Murray is, the Cardinals are paying most of his salary next year. So, I think you would pay him on a very cheap deal, almost like damn near the minimum, I think, or pretty close to it. So, from where the Browns are financially, makes a lot of sense. Now, I watched my man Stump Mitchell the other night, his show. Shout out to Stump and Rowe and Sapphire and all of them over there, and producer Russ over on the Stump Talk podcast. Go check them out, Hall of Fame Network. They made some good points. It's like you already have two guys here in the building, three guys. I mean, Dylan too, but you already have three guys who are familiar with the locker room, right? Have continuity here. You have a guy in Shador who's young, who still has upside, who with a new coach, let's see what he can do. You still have Deshaun Watson coming back, who two of the latest reports I've seen coming out of the combine was a lot of people. There's two reports that think he's the front runner right now to win the job. Then you still have Dylan Gabriel, who I don't think is going to be a starter in the NFL, but you still have him there as well. I just don't know. You would have to move Gabriel out, in my opinion, and then if you bring in Kyler Murray, you're not promising him the job, but you're kind of promising him the job. Like I don't think he's coming here unless he feels like he's going to be the QB1 from day one, and he may still compete, but it's basically they're saying it's your job to lose. But I don't know. I'm not. I get the fascination with it. I just think the Browns are right now, I think they're more focused on the quarterbacks they have. And I think the guys you have are just better fits because of the continuity. And I think, I'd rather I'm just not a fan of the 6 feet and under quarterback. I'm sorry, I'm not. And Chapman may have Parham Johnson house. No idea, man. No idea, man. I have nightmares from short quarterbacks. I agree with you, Parham Johnson. I'm not a fan of the shorter quarterback personally, especially within the AFC North. And I know we're going to the Dome here down the road, but still, I just don't. I'm not a fan of it. I just don't. To me, I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. I think he's a very talented quarterback who can win you some games, maybe get you to playoffs one year with the right team around him and support around him. But the Browns aren't really in a position right now to, I don't think, fit. If Kyler Murray was 6'3", 6'4", maybe even 6'2", I'd say no brainer. Now, I still have questions about his leadership ability and some of this off the field stuff I've heard. Not anything about his character in terms of like he does any bad things, but just in terms of his leadership of a locker room. That's been questioned out there. But also, when you have a guy that's undersized, yeah, he can extend plays with his feet, but when you don't have an offensive line right now that needs rebuilt, you don't really have a true number one receiver. I think it's not ideal to bring an undersized guy at quarterback. I think you're better off just rolling with what you have. Shador at least last year showed he could sit in the pocket a little bit and he's tough. He went through a lot last year. I think he showed he can handle that. You know what I mean? He has continuity with the guys here. He knows what to expect. Deshaun, if Deshaun can get back to even just 80% of what he was, we know what he can be. He's like Houdini out there. He's bigger guys, 6'3", 6'4", can shed could shed tackles, extend plays, could sit in the pocket. So if Deshaun can get back to what he can be, and when you saw some things with Shador last year, so needs a lot of work though. But I think with Todd Monken, he'll get better. I think you're better off just rolling with that. I don't know why you'd want to bring in another quarterback again with that type of name because you already have two big names in the building, and Shador Sanders and Deshaun Watson, who draw a lot of headlines, especially Shador. And Deshaun still has intrigue. I think he's still a name. At one point, he was a top 5 quarterback in the league. Now, granted, it was 6 years ago, but he's still a name, right? And it's still a guy they paid all that money to and still paying him next year. So bringing in a guy like Kyler Murray to me, I just don't know. I think that's just too much drama. It's not something they need right now, especially when you're trying to get off to a good start with your new head coach, right? You're basically in a whole new era of Browns football. So, and you're in a transition period right now. I just don't think it makes sense from that standpoint. I think you're better off just, if it were me, the person I would be targeting, and you can see there, obviously, and the coach already taking pictures with Shador again. Obviously, saw him in the office. Now he's as Shador gifted him that horse's head thingy in the background. I'll put that full screen for you guys. But, again, I think you're just rolling what you got. Maybe you draft somebody in the later rounds. I did tell you guys last week on my show, I do think they're leaving the door open for a scenario where they maybe draft a Ty Simpson higher or a Malik Willis. I never thought Malik Willis, like I said, was likely because I think they would have to overpay and it doesn't make a lot of sense for them. You know, Kyler Murray actually makes more sense than Malik Willis for them because of the money. But Ty Simpson, I think they're intrigued with him. I think Ty would have to really wow them, though, during the process, which he could do. But I don't know if I want to spend the 6th overall pick or even 24 on Ty Simpson. I like the kid a lot. I think he is a first-round talent, but there is an injury there he's coming off of. And I just think where the Browns are, after listening to Stump the other night, it really just kind of got me rethinking what I was thinking about the situation again with the Browns right now. It's like, yeah, you got to rebuild the trenches first, bro. Like you got to get let's establish something we can put in a quarterback to be successful. Like use your 6th pick or whatever and draft that guy out of I would do it out of Georgia, Monroe Freeland. That's who I would draft. And then what I would do with my 24th pick is I'm going to get Maserati Marv. That's who I'm going to get. Because after I don't know, even after Micaiah, I don't know if there's I don't think there's any receiver in the draft, this draft, that's better than him. Even after, I know 2 years, he showed some flashes and he was hurt. It didn't show in here and there. He's been a little up and down, Marvin Harrison, but there's no receiver in this draft I think that's better than him. So I would use my 24th pick and whatever else and go package a deal. And that's the Arizona Cardinal I would go get. I'll go get Marvin Harrison Jr. Give me Freeland from Georgia at tackle, who I think is going to be an absolute stud, who had a great combine and just was consistent all year on tape. I liked him or Maliaga out of Miami, but I think Freeland's a more natural tackle, so I would take him. And then I would use my back end pick, and I'm going to get Marvin Harrison. That's what I would do. I get my tackle of the future at left tackle, who's a natural left tackle as well. He's played left tackle in college, so you don't have to worry about the switch and any of that, from a right to left, which we tried in the past with Jed. I think you got a natural left tackle, you take him. And then you use your 24th pick. You go get a guy who's still in a rookie contract, who still has a ton of upside, get to be an absolute star in this league, and you go get Marvin Harrison Jr. That's what I would do. I think you're off to a good start there. Kyler Murray, very talented, but I don't think it's a good fit, and it's not somebody I would go get personally. So Mary Kay Cabot spoke on it today. Here's what she had to say about the Browns quarterback situation.
Well, I came away from Indy thinking that the Browns were pretty content, and I don't know if that's exactly the right word, but that they were pretty ready to go forward with Deshaun Watson and Shador Sanders and see what they could do with those two guys in a competition, and then which one of those could emerge from that and what that player can do this season. Because they don't have a lot of money to spend on another quarterback, and there just are not a lot of really good quarterbacks, veteran or rookie, that they can have access to this season. So I came away thinking that they probably were going to march forward with what they have in the room. But once again, anything can change on a dime when we get to this point in the NFL season. With the league year about to open next week. Last year at this time, not last year, in 2022 at this time, we had no idea that Deshaun Watson was going to be landing on the doorstep. At that time, they were prepared. They were looking around, but they were also prepared to go forward with Baker Mayfield. And then things changed, and they changed drastically. And even the Browns were surprised that Deshaun Watson was going to come here and that happened that way. So you can never really predict how things are going to go until all the pieces and parts start moving and the deals start happening.
So that was courtesy 93 the fan, Mary Kay Cabot, on the situation with the Browns. And she said she came away from the combine feeling like they're going to roll with what they got, right? That's what they're going to go with. And I agree with that right now. Ty Simpson, I think, is still fast today, but after what I saw from Freeland over the weekend, I can't pass on that guy. And he's a surefire. He's a sure thing to me. I still think Marvin Harrison in a better situation, just a fresh situation, I think is a sure thing. So you get your tackle, your left tackle, and you get a number one receiver, in my opinion, with your first round picks. That's what I would do, like I said. And then you move forward from there. And then evaluate both your quarterbacks next year. You have two guys here who are very capable of becoming a very good starter in the league still. And I know people are low on Deshaun for what he showed last time he was out there. But I still think, and Stump said this the other day, and Stump obviously was there. Stump said he felt like Deshaun really was more let down by the staff during his first tenure here in Cleveland, or I don't say tenure, but his first, how many years now? Almost 4 years. He feels like Kevin and the staff didn't do a good enough job to help him, and that's from somebody that was on the staff. So I think there is some validity to that, obviously. Stone keeps it real, and he thinks with Todd Monken, who he was here with back in 19 when Monken was the OC, he feels like Todd Monken will get the best out of Deshaun, and that Deshaun will win the job, and that he thinks Deshaun will play well next year. So I think you might as well give it a look, and or maybe it's Shador. So, I like what they have here. I think you have a running back room as well that you can work with. Obviously, you got Quinshon, you got Harold Fannin. You can develop an offense next year that can help both these quarterbacks develop and get back into, like Deshaun, he's trying to get back to where he was, right? And then Shador, he's trying to take the next step. If you can build out your line, you have a running game, you have a tight end, you can bring a number one receiver, you can develop an offense throughout the season, starting in camp, and then as the season goes on, to help these guys grow where they could be, at least serviceable, right? And then you can move forward and make them starters, and then maybe they become stars, and then maybe become your franchise guys. So I think that's the best road for the Browns, and that's what I would do. I'm out on Kyler Murray, so that's just me. But joining me now is the man himself, straight out of Elyria, Ohio. My man Humble's in the building. Humble, what's up, brother?
What's up, everybody, man? I hope you guys are having a good Friday. Oh no, it's Thursday. My bad. I got my days messed up.
Wednesday, isn't it? Is it
No,
Wednesday or
it's
is it Thursday?
Thursday.
Man, I said Wednesday to start the show. Gosh darn. You know why, guys? I said Wednesday because I looked out at my notes and I had a note from yesterday. It's so
Oh
I said,
man.
so my apologies. Happy Thursday to you
Happy
guys.
Thursday,
We're both
everybody.
all over the place to start the show. We're off to a flying start. But anyways, um, Humble, I know you're more of a Cavs guy, but I know you love the Browns. You're getting more back into the Browns.
Yeah.
I know you like Shador. What's your thoughts on the Browns quarterback situation? Would you pursue Kyler Murray?
Um, that's a good question, Joe. I actually do really like the quarterback position a lot. That's something I really keeps me into the game and everything. But I would honestly, I talk about the pros first about Kyler Murray. I think, like you said, he's fast, he's durable. If we're looking at that as far as what he does good is top 10. quarterbacks, he's fast, right? He can get out there, he can scramble with the best of them, like Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson. Um, but like you said, he's not the same player. I mean, 6 years ago, maybe, right? You might consider this move when he beat um, Josh Allen. Um, and then, yeah, he's historically been good against the Browns and Dallas. I mean, right? But I don't think you could also argue, hey, man, this guy is on the Cardinals. Um, give him a chance, give him a different home. But like you said, I think I would target more of a Marvin Harrison Jr. Um, coming out of Ohio State. I mean, that guy, I mean, he's a unit in himself. But Kyler Murray, he's in the what do you call it? The NFC West, right? He's over there.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a rough conference, man. Seattle just coming off a Super Bowl. And he doesn't do good against Seattle. I think he's like what I think he's won 2 games against Seattle. Um, so historically speaking, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't really pick him up. I mean, I know he's also toyed around with talking about going and playing baseball too. So it's like his consistency isn't there for me. How is his leadership being a 5'10" quarterback? Right? I don't. I don't know. Um,
Yeah, and I've
I
heard
may.
rumors about that's been questioned out there by the former coach. He said some things behind the scenes, allegedly, the people, but the people I trust told me, but or heard it. I heard him say he said on the show. I remember reference to JB about it. Coach JB shot did, but yeah, I mean that and his durability too at 5'10", like I think that was his biggest question mark coming in the league.
Yeah.
I think when you're 5'10", you're not durable, you're not available like you need to be, or just your size. I just think you're just too small. Like there's times where I've watched him, he just looks like he can't see over the line of scrimmage, and I
Right.
don't. We're not in a situation to take on a guy like that personally. If he was 6'3", 6'4", okay, now we got something maybe different we could talk about. But I would pass. I think you're about to just roll what you got. Shout out to our boy Nessie 8588 from our group chat. He said, "Go talk," and everyone listen. Sounds like Mary Kay was Mary Kay talking. Shout out to Christian Cracker 4813. He said the Browns have a cycle just throwing guys into a system they don't even really know what it is just yet. Yeah, that's a great analysis. I mean, they do. They throw people out there to the wolves a lot of times, and I just think to me, yeah, Kyler Murray's talented, but is he the right fit for you? For us as a Brown, I don't think he is. I just think where we are as a team, like I pointed out, you need to build your own line. You need to go get a number one receiver. You have a possibility to do that with your first round selections. You could trade 24 to go maybe get Marv and whatever else, and then you could use number 6 to draft this Freeland kid out of Georgia, and you have 2 guys already here, Humble, who, and even 3 with Dylan Gabriel, who have more continuity in the building. They know what to expect. We already see Shador's off to a start of a start with the coach and building their relationship. I think Deshaun, he has it's his last chance probably to prove he can be an NFL quarterback again. So I think he'll be hungry when he gets here,
Mhm.
just for himself even. And then obviously Dylan's been quiet, but I'm sure Dylan still feels like he can wants to compete and go out there and show what he can do. So I think you're about to just roll what you got first, and maybe they probably will bring in a 4th quarterback. Maybe you bring that guy in via the draft, which I wouldn't be surprised they took like a Drew Aller or something later on. Although I don't know if Drew Aller makes a lot of sense because he's a guy coming off an injury. He's gonna, he needs a lot of work. Maybe it does make sense. I don't know, but I think maybe just bring a guy like who's probably gonna be your real backup, future backup quarterback, who maybe could become something. I don't know, but I think the top 2 guys, it's gonna be one of those 2 guys, or they'll just look to next year's draft on a better quarterback class. What it looks like, and take one of those guys.
No, yeah, I
But
agree. I was gonna say also to add, going back to Kyler Murray before we, I mean that guy 8-24 in the AFC West. I mean, how do you think he does against Baltimore? How do you think he does against the Steelers? Right? I mean, we got to face those guys twice a year, right, Joe?
yeah, and even in Cincinnati, even when Joe Burrow healthy, Jamar Chase, like you want to get a shootout with them, like
Sure.
I would want to. I mean, with him, I don't know because we don't have the weapons right now. I don't think we don't have the
No.
line, the weapons. Like, you know, I think you just got to build a system next year that fits with where you are, establish your foundation, and get the guys you have in the building who already have continuity. Just get them to be at least serviceable, right? And I think they
Right.
can. And then see which one could take the lead and become like the starter guy. You know, what I mean, maybe that guy could be your franchise guy moving forward. You never know. So that's what I would do. Who do you like between? I know some of the reports that lately have said Deshaun's the front runner. Who do you think will win out that battle there between
Shador and
Shador and Deshaun? Yeah,
well, that's a good question, honestly.
because my man Stump, he thinks Deshaun's gonna win.
Well,
And shout out to our boy, the professional fans in the building, like on the way in here.
love you, Mike. Um, I don't know, man. I stick to Shador because he gave he stepped up when Dylan Gabriel couldn't, right? And I mean he gave us. I mean we went 5-12 last year. I mean, what Dylan Gabriel gave us one of those wins, right? If I'm not mistaken, Joe, or is that our
Uh,
defense? You would more say.
about the Dylan Gabriel win versus the Jets.
Was it the Jets? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was a monsoon. No, it was the Dolphins. Yeah, it was the Dolphins. I mean, it was a
Okay,
monsoon. They ran the ball finally in that game. Um, I thought Dylan didn't mess it up. He didn't hurt him in that game. He did what he needed to do, and they got the win. The defense dominated for sure. The special teams actually surprisingly had a good game that game too, if I remember
yeah,
correctly. I remember it was me, Jersey, Mike went and watched that somewhere. Um, but yeah, he had that win. But there were some games that could have won. I mean, there were some games Shador could have won, but then there's three he won. So I mean, they weren't a complimentary team last year at all. Like they just weren't a good football team. They were. I don't think they were well coached. I don't think they were good in all three phases. The defense that towards the end of the year started to slip, especially when Malik Collins went out because they knew they weren't going to the playoffs, and I think guys started to check out. Not that they quit, but I think guys just when you don't have an when you're a defense like that, and you don't have an offense that can help you at anyway, like just give you some breathing room in a game. It's like it's
right.
demoralizing. So
All
I
you
think
have to do is
got
rely on your
a disaster
defense.
too. Yeah,
Nah, yeah.
and you got a disaster special teams unit last year, so it's like you know I think that
And
was a lot of it.
a lot of our guys weren't catching the ball. I mean, Dylan Gabriel. I mean, like you said, Kyler Murray and him are the same height. I mean, if we saw how Dylan Gabriel was last year, I could only, I mean, Kyler Murray and him are completely different players. But I mean, I don't know, man. It just gives me anxiety thinking about that.
I
It
agree.
does.
Yeah, I get you. I think I agree. I think they have some of the similar issues. Actually, I mean, Kyler's a lot more talented, but I think they do have
Sure.
size wise similar issues. Christian says Deshaun will win, but it doesn't mean he will stay the starter. Yeah, I agree. And I actually, if I had to bet right now, humble, I think Deshaun will win the job. And I think, I think Todd Munkin, from listening to him at the combine, and kind of when they talk about Shador, I think they feel like Shador needs like a fresh start from this year. Like basically, like okay, you're still you're going in your second year.
Hmm.
Forget about everything that happened last year. Take a lot of the lessons you learned from it and the ways you grew. You know to expect now in the NFL. But I think they're kind of gonna treat him like a developmental rookie quarterback in a way. Like I think Todd wants to basically like let's just have a fresh start and let's do it my way with you,
I
right?
see what you're saying.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah, like basically, let's almost like you're a rookie again. Not saying they're going to treat, and I think he won't be throwing the trash cans or equipment guys again like last year. I think he's the number two guy now at least. So, or he may be the number one. Who knows? He may beat out Deshaun. You never know. Who knows how Deshaun's even going to look? Especially how's his body going to respond when he starts playing more contact and live action.
Right.
Um, but I think that's how they're going to treat him, and I think they'll have a point where either Deshaun's either winning them games or looks good enough, and they'll roll with him, or just say it's time to flip it to Shador, and now we feel like he's prepared to where I want to be his coach. Because it's Todd Monken's show now. It's so, and I
Right.
think too, give him some time, build out the offensive line, develop that offensive line, right? Just establish a running game, get a number one receiver in there, and get him rolling. Like I think they need to establish a lot of things too and then really set the stage where you put and Deshaun's going to need that support too, but Deshaun's more experienced, he can handle that, I think. Um, and I think more invested into Shador for the future than they are Deshaun because he's younger and he's on less money. And Deshaun, they've kind of this will be the third try at it. You know what I
Right.
mean? He had the first time he came out of the suspension, then he got hurt, and then he came back, and then it looked good, then he got hurt again. And this is the third
It's
crack at it, and it's towards the end of the contract. So I
it's
think you
make
got
or
to
break
play
for
him.
him.
Yeah, you got to play him first, and then the guy who you're more invested in for the future, you got to really take your time with him. Like developing a quarterback at any level takes time. Like
Right.
it's not this microwave process like people think. Like it's more than any position in sports. I think it needs the most amount of development at any position in sports. So I think that's how they're going to handle it. But well, good stuff there. And shout out to you guys in the chat. And like Mike said, hit the like button on the way in. Moving on now, we got to talk Humble real quick. We got to address it because I cover the Browns. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. I know some of you guys watch, probably heard people talk about it again today. It's in the news. Myles Garrett, Humble got his ninth speeding ticket. It came out on TMZ a little bit ago. The video, he was going down 71 right over here, kind of by us. He was probably about 40 minutes away from me. Probably same for you. And then I think he was going 94, I believe, in a 60 or something like that, or a 70. He was going over the speed limit, but it's not even that he got a speeding ticket. It's his ninth incident. Humble, and I also remembered back in, I think it was 2022 or 23. I think it was 22 when he had the crash. Remember, he rolled
Yep.
over, and
Yep.
so obviously this is a serious thing with Myles. Like he was in his Porsche there. He's got a fast car. I get it. And he was at 1:30 in the morning, so he probably thought he can open it up a little bit. You know what I mean? And let the throttle loose. I can't say I don't know people home to do the same thing in their cars too, but I think when you're Myles Garrett and you have the attention, you're the franchise player, you're the best player in football, in my opinion. You just won Defensive Player of the Year. You just broke the sack record. Like, obviously, you just got engaged. You're 29. Like, you're young. I think you're living life. But I think if you're Myles, though, when you've had this many incidents, especially after that crash, like you got to be a little more calculated. Have you learned your lesson? And I think a lot of these athletes, I think he's just an example. I'm not saying this, I'm not attacking. I think Myles is a good guy, or I'm not attacking his character, but I think when you give these guys this kind of amount of money early on, where they can go out and buy these cars without not a lot of experience, and this is kind of like the first cars they really drive. Because remember, Humble. I mean, you get your license when you're in your teens or 20s, and usually a lot of us, your first car is not a Porsche, right?
No.
So, but I think when you develop that mindset early on, that's why you see a lot of these guys and the Chiefs that they're out recklessly driving all the time, or you see down in Georgia the same thing. Like, I think when you give guys this amount of money early on, they think it's okay. That's what they be. They think it's like they get so accustomed to living this lifestyle, and I think with Myles, I think it doesn't seem like he's learned his lesson with speeding. Like, and it's a serious thing. It's not serious, but it is a serious thing because it really does only take one incident for something to go really bad, And so I hope this is like the last straw with Myles. Like, you can't feel like, and what I'm getting at is you can't feel like you're invincible because you're not.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're just a football player, Like, and I know there was some rumors out there that the one he got recently that he was going before this one, he was actually going over 100, and the cop put him under 100 because I think he was trying to give him a leeway because of who he was, which I don't agree with that. You still got to do your job as a police officer at the end of the day, so that's not a good job by that officer. Because again, who's putting this guy in check?
Right.
That's the problem. And I see this now in high school with certain guys. Humble, they start getting the more recognition, the more money they get, the more accolades. They start to feel like they can't be told anything. There's zero accountability for them. They think, well, as long as I show up and produce on the field, that's all that matters. But I don't care about your football production. I care about your life first. I care about other people's safety first. Like, this is something that hopefully Todd Monk can lighten his ass because he's the head coach now. And somebody's like, I could see if you had one or two, but this is your ninth time. Most people Humble would have their license taken away from them.
All right.
But because of who he is, he gets a pass, which I don't agree with. But, he's a great player. We love him here, but he's just a football player, man. Like, he's not. He's no better than anybody else, And I don't think Myles tries to be, but is he taking advantage of the situation a little bit? Yeah, because he clearly hasn't learned from the other 8 incidents. So hopefully somebody can get to him before, because you would hate to see something bad happen again. Like that crash, thankfully he was all right, but still, I mean, that could have went worse. And it all it takes is one time, and I was in broad
Right.
daylight too, so he didn't learn from that even. So
No, yeah.
that's kind of it's got to be handled. Somebody's got to get to him. Hopefully, maybe a former player. Somebody's got to get to him and tell him like, hey man, you got to cut the shit out. Like it's time to grow up in that area and tie. You need to be like I hopefully LeBron. Like LeBron has somebody drive him around most of the
Yeah.
time. Like he needs to find. Maybe that's what he should do. But he needs to start. You're on that caliber. I think he needs to. And him and LeBron obviously have a good relationship. They work out together, same agency. I think LeBron will be back here with him in Cleveland. Hopefully, if I'm LeBron or Rich Paul's his agent, like somebody's got to get to him. Like, hey man, you got to be a little more calculated in how you move and stuff. So, your thoughts on this, Humble? We don't got to spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah, I just no, I'll keep it short. I just hope there's no depression there with Miles. I know he's got a pretty good uh, chunk of money, so that's not anything he's got to worry about. And I mean, hell, if it's boredom, you don't have to be in Ohio. Hell, go on a plane, Miles, for a little bit. Go to Miami. Go, that's taken care of, man.
Go
We just
skydiving
want,
or
yeah, man.
or go. I know some. I mean, hell, it's gonna be getting warm out here up here in Ohio soon. I got some racetracks you can go to. My uncle goes. Like, if you want to go race, go do it in a proper structure.
Right. That's all we're saying, man. Like you're our best player. You give us hope. You sell tickets for us, man. If it wasn't for you, a lot of people probably wouldn't go to the game. We wouldn't have hope. Um, we're just looking at it from that perspective, man. We care about you, Miles, man. And like you said, this is the ninth ticket, man. And the last one was really bad, man. I mean, that was what in the cornfield, basically. Essentially, he was out there in the middle of nowhere, right,
Well, that
Joe?
was the seventh incident.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like that
Yeah, he
crash,
was
though.
out in the middle of like Wayne County,
Yeah, yeah, man. Like it's
which
just
we know that that's like cornland out there.
right. And that's scary because you might hit a deer and detriment yourself. So it's
Yeah, or
just
you flip. I mean,
right.
it's a rural area. There's not a lot of people going down those roads all the time. Like, especially
Especially
at
not going
night.
as fast as he's going.
He's lucky he got pulled over because honestly, who knows what? I mean, not. I mean, I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but what if he would have went down this road at night? There ain't a lot of people on. That Humble out in that area.
Right.
There's not that area at night. What if he crashed? Nobody can come and help him. Like if he was hurt or something. Like you can't take the chance. I'm sure he clearly knows how to control himself in terms of the driving. I think, although the one time, well, maybe he doesn't actually because he wrecked already. But you
Yeah.
know, I mean, I'm not saying maybe he's a decent driver, knows how to get it back down and speed, but you just can't take the risk. Like after nine
Yeah.
incidents, dude, you got to just stop. Like get just hire a driver.
That's all we're getting at here. Like
Just
we're
have your
caring about your
girlfriend. Just have
safety,
your
man.
girlfriend driving you home at night or something. I don't know. You got to do something different, bro. Like this ain't working.
Right.
Can't be out hot blowing it up. But that's all I got on that. Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
still love Miles, but I'm gonna
Always.
take a quick break, Humble. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show with Humble's gonna lead us off when we come back. So I'll let him give him a couple minutes to get himself together and get his thoughts ready because we got a real life topic coming up here again. So don't go anywhere. Stick around.
Because people put labels on you, so sometimes people believe them. After a lot of, constantly people saying, "Oh, you're this, you're that," you'll never do this, you'll never be like that, whatever. Sometimes
I think
people
this is
believe them.
important. I wrote this down right here because this is key for people our age, especially somebody like me who's 23, single. Is not to don't wear the labels the world might say you are. And so people could tell me in my life, some of the things in my personal life, obviously because we're good friends, but certain things maybe I haven't achieved yet because of what happened to me, just because of circumstances. But if I were to keep wearing that label of I don't have X, Y, and Z yet, or if I would go by the world standards and the pressure, and sometimes even your own family, and he even said in the sermon earlier, he said sometimes the wisest thing for you to do, nobody will agree with you, literally nobody, and that could be your own, it could be everybody around you, but as long as you listen to the voice and you can feel that conviction, why should you be afraid? Why not? What's there to be? You know what I mean? What that should be give you somewhat of a confidence, and that's hard to do because when everybody around you is telling you what to do, you can start to wear the like I could have started to wear those labels and started to you know I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today though. I can tell you that I'd be in a deep hole. So I guess kind of what we talked about this in our last episode we did too back I think it was like in October
Yeah.
about being bold and courageous and because that's really what it is. I think surrendering it takes a leap of courage, of faith, and so I guess kind of what are the things that have helped you in your past, or what some words of encouragement people out there, especially our age, watching about you know uh, being bold and courageous and not wearing your past, not wearing the labels and all that.
It's something that's, it's easier said than done, but you definitely have to try to
Mm.
surrender it all to God, giving it to Him, laying at the foot of the cross, and just trusting Him through it all. Um, because when people put labels on you, so, sometimes people believe them. After a lot of, constantly people saying, "Oh, you're this, you're that," you know, you'll never do this, you'll never be like that, whatever. Sometimes you believe them, after hearing it enough, and then
Mm.
um, at the end of the day, it's just lies. But you have to trust that, you know, Christ is going to set you free, as He said He will. You just got to take the first step and surrender it to Him first before He takes it, because He's not
Right.
going to do it forcefully. He's going to do it. He wants you to take the first leap of faith.
All right, welcome back. Time to move on. My man Humble's topic now. Humble, take it away.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So today's topic, we got this picture up here to the right, and actually, my mom sent it to me uh, yesterday, and it says something. It says, sometimes you can do everything right, and everything can still go wrong, and it doesn't mean you're failing. It just means there's a lot you can't control, and be kind to yourself as you figure out what to do from here. And I kind of it's kind of a lot to break down there, jokes, but like I kind of looked at it from like my life perspective, and I kind of thought like, you know, what can I control? You know what I mean? You can't control everything. You can't control the weather. But you can't control what you put on, right? You can't control um what time um disaster is gonna hit your life, but you can plan around it. You can try to control what you can. You know what I mean? Always try to put yourself in the perspective of, hey man, life isn't great, but what can control, right? And that you can put that in any life perspective. Hey, maybe you're doing great in life, but you're still thinking, um, I don't have it all made. I don't have a family. I don't have right. You can. Life's so easy to compare yourself to, but it doesn't mean you're failing, right? You have to go pick yourself up through resilience and remember to love yourself with compassion. And that's kind of how I feel about the quote. What about you, Joe?
Well, shout out to your mom, number one. She
Shout out,
raised a
moms.
great young man, so shout out to her.
Appreciate that,
Um, no, I mean, I think you said all. You hit the nail right on the head, and it kind of goes off what we talked about the last show when I had the quote up there from Teddy Roosevelt. Where it says comparison is the thief of joy. Um, and reading that again, sometimes you could do everything right and everything could still go wrong. And I think I can relate to that with my story with overcoming what I had to overcome all those years and still getting out of now. But now last 2 years I've been back on my feet finally. I've been in a reintegration process, right? But it's still similar, you know what I mean? Because it's like I'm still trying to get back to normal life again and get my feet wet, right? And but going through that process though, of getting out of where I was though, humble, like and I've shared on the show. Like when I was down on a hole, I couldn't really go far from my house, dealing with agoraphobia and extreme anxiety. And if I tried to go further, I would have a legit, just a bad panic attack. So for it would make me stay in that bubble, and I didn't feel like I had a lot anything really going for me at that time. But I was trying to do everything right, but it felt like everything was going wrong. But I wasn't failing, and I think what you have to do is you have to surrender. And I mentioned this on the last show. And I shout out to Master Teague. Master Teague was a former Ohio State running back. He's now preaching. He put out a video today. I shared on my Instagram where he talked about how the greatest leaders out in history, they all did one thing. They surrendered. They got on their knees and looked up to God and said, God, I can't do it on my own. I just have to trust you and trust your timing, your purpose for my life, your will, and why you're allowing things. And I could sit up here and really say that a lot of the things I thought were negative during those years of my life really were positives. And I'm still finding that out now. I mean, trust me, there's still things I still question that I talk to God about. And I think one thing you got to do when you, whether you believe in God or not, you believe in something. Because if you don't believe in something, you'll fall for anything, and you'll fall for, and that could be in your own mind. Even your mind can play tricks on you. I know what that is. Humble knows what that is. We're believers in Christ and know who the opposer is, right?
Amen.
And he'll try to trick you. But if you don't out there, that's fine. We accept everybody here. We're not judging anybody. Um, you believe in something, you still fall for anything. And that could be on your phone when you're looking at your social media. Do you think that's designed to really, you know, a lot of that stuff you see on there is marketing. It's to get you to buy into the app or buy something, buy a product, or there's a lot of fear mongering, a lot of comparison on there. Like we talked about in the last show, you feel inferior, and I think a lot of times people panic and they try to go out and do things and control things on their own, but you may not be ready for what you're trying to control. What you're trying to do. Like if you're trying to be in a relationship with somebody, you may not be ready to be a right partner yet for somebody. If you're trying to achieve a certain job, you may do whatever it takes to get this job, and you may go about it in the wrong way. But you achieved it, but doesn't mean you're ready for it. Like if you're not ready for something, it's not going to last. At some point, it will give out. Yeah, and the only person that has to deal with the repercussions of it is you.
Right.
You can put yourself in a deeper hole. And I think that's something I learned in my journey of overcoming anxiety. My family and I, especially, we tried to do everything. Like there's not a lot. There wasn't a lot of resources out there 10 years ago like there is now, and education about it. I didn't even know what it was. And I'm just using my story as an example to relate to. Maybe you guys can relate. It's like everybody thinks, oh, just go to the doctor immediately, get on a prescription, right? Go see basic talk therapy, and that'll help you. And that's what I did, but it didn't. It just kept me in a cycle. It didn't really help me, and I got to a point in 2018 where I felt like I was trying to do everything right, but it still was wrong. I actually was in a deeper hole because I think my family and I, especially myself, we were trying to control the situation on ourselves, right? Because it was like, what just happened? We need to. It's like your natural instincts to take back control and fight for everything. You know what I mean? And it wasn't until I
Good point.
surrendered, until I surrendered that I didn't know the answers, and I had to let God lead me to the answers. And that led me to one thing, right? And then I got to the point where I really had to surrender again and bite my own pride and say, I can't help myself, Joseph. I remember sitting on the driveway a couple years after that. My dad told me one day when I finally went to seek real counseling, he was like, you got to just do it,
Mm-hmm.
because I had an incident where I was at my cousin's birthday party on a beautiful July night, right? The night atmosphere. It was the first time I've been out in that atmosphere in years up to that point, and I wasn't really prepared for that. My anxiety was high socially, just I was overstimulated. And I actually ran out, and I felt embarrassed. I felt like it was a low point for me because I was like, man, am I ever going to get back to this? I'm not gonna lie either, too. Like, I was a single, I was 21, like a single guy. There was some attractive girls in there my age. I could have talked, like, what I mean, like, and it just all just kind of overstimulated me, and I was having a good time with
Yeah.
my family, laughing, music was great, right? Good food, and I ran out of the restaurant because I wasn't prepared. Because up until that point, I was trying to heal myself. I was trying to force everything. I was trying to do a lot of doership, but I didn't do like Master Teague said. I didn't fully surrender. That's when I went and seeked help. Went, you know, and that ultimately, what happened once I surrendered to go get help, humble.
What's
That was
that?
August of that year, or late July, August. By that next spring and April, guess what? I sat up here and did what I did on my first show. So, and that was a goal I had, but it didn't happen until I surrendered first. And it was like God sifted me through those months when I finally surrendered and seek the right help I needed, put my pride aside. Right, I went from August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, and right when I got to April 2nd, that's when it was like it was time. And then even then, as time went on, I had to do that again in 23, and that was like the ultimate surrender for me. And then that led to the next thing, and then it led to the next thing. But throughout the whole process, my belief in myself grew, my faith grew, my relationship, my family grew, our faith as a whole, our family grew closer than ever, and it was at the right time. And so, and for the last 2 years now, I've seen God work in my life. I'm getting involved in things now that 4, 5, 6 years ago, I would have dreamed. I would be like, I would hope one day that'd be a miracle if I could be involved in that or do something like even what we're doing today.
Yeah.
So it's like you really do have to trust God's timing. You may have a vision in your head of what you want to do, and that's good. That's Him speaking to you. Everybody has a seed planted in them, but you have to trust the timing and the will. And you may be doing everything right, and you feel like you're not getting where you want to be yet. But every step, whether big or small, the smaller steps lead to the bigger steps. I know it's cliche, but it's true.
Yeah.
And I know that in my life. And I know Humble knows that. You know what I mean? We're still going through that. I'm 26, he's 25. We're young guys just trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? So, I don't mean to go on a rant, but
No, you're good.
surrendering, and if it will go right at some point, but it may not be what you think is right. And that's something I learned, and maybe you can attest to that, Humble. Like a lot of times we think it's going to go one way, but a lot of times you still get there, but it's not a linear path, and it may not be what you thought. A lot of times what I've noticed too, Humble, it's bigger than what I even expected, and it's bigger than me. It's about other
Yeah.
people too. Like God uses you to impact other people's lives.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%, Joe.
Um, you go ahead. What else you got on
I,
this?
I was gonna say, and this is just for anyone listening, right now or even on the playback. The reason me and Joe like to just do like discussions like this is because we've ultimately realized like the most important thing in our life is we don't need validation from anybody but God, and He's the only real person that we need validation from. And as long as we're walking in His faith, we feel we're doing the best in our life, and that's enough for us. And we're thankful for Him and His guidance in life, and that's why we do this. We're not doing it for anyone but Him, and like we just want to put out this type of content and help others that are going through it just like us. That's really
Yeah.
all we want to say.
I want to play this clip real quick, Humble. Actually, this is on the
Yeah.
fly, but it's somebody we both love and respect that we always quote all the time and laugh about. But he said something one time, Humble, that I can certainly attest to. This is our man Joey Diaz. Here's what he had to say. And a lot of you guys may have seen this. Here's what he said one time.
20 friends. You just need 3 motherfuckers and you can take over a country. Okay, that's what we're confused as Americans. We think we need all these motherfuckers. You give me 3 bad motherfuckers and you're finished. You understand me? Because you don't need 20 friends. You just need 3 motherfuckers and you can take over a country. Okay, that's what we're confused as Americans. We think we need all these motherfuckers. You give me 3 bad motherfuckers and you're finished. You understand me?
He ain't lying though, Humble. Like you don't need a whole lot in life to be happy. And I learned that from where I went through, where I was able to function normally. And I know we both have been there, and a lot of you guys watching have been there. You don't need a whole lot there to be content and happy in life. And a lot of times you actually have more peace than people that have everything. You know, But I think, like he said though, like Humble, you just made a great point. Like, we're not trying to seek validation, but I think what helps with that is having a great support around you, people you can
Yeah.
trust, and have conversations. Like Humble and I had conversations. We were on the phone yesterday for an hour. We talk like this
Yeah.
all the time. Mike and I talk like this all the time. My buddy Debo is on the show. We have conversations all the time. Like I have 4 solid, great friends in my life. 4 or 5 guys. This guy right here, Mike and Debo and Zach, who I had on the show. Guys who I can call at any time. Somebody may not be. We not doesn't mean we talk all the time because life and stuff. But like he just said it great. But if you got 3 solid people in your life, That's all you need. You could take over a country, like because it's like he's serious. Like it just your belief and your confidence in yourself. You don't need a whole lot to be something in life. Like you really don't. Like
Right.
I started this with a little tablet, and I used to have blank wall in the background. Like, and I mean, it's still slowly growing. Like, you don't need a whole lot to do something great.
Right.
But having
I
that
agree.
support staff, I think, and Helma, I know you can attest, having people you can really lean on, um, is key because I think the last part there is the most important part. Be kind to yourself as you figure out what you do from here. And I mean, it's kind of funny your mom said that to you because that's something my mom would say to me too all the time. It's like a mother's instinct is, be kind to yourself. You know what I mean? Both my grandmothers tell me, all the women in my life, they always said that to me. Be kind to yourself, and because
Women have always been better than men. They
yeah,
know
because
how to love
as men,
themselves.
man, we're like alphas. We want to
Right.
fix something now. Like I know Jersey can really something he said he's always struggled with. As a father, you want to try to fix something. You know what I mean? You want to control it as a male. That's our instincts.
Yeah.
But it's like that's where you have to, like Master Teague said it best. You have to learn to surrender. The greatest leaders in history, they all surrendered to God at one point. They had to, and they had to get on
Amen.
their knees and say, I don't have it figured out. Only you do." And what's your thoughts on that? Being kind to yourself. What's helped you with that?
Being kind to myself, man. Just I know it's always so cliche, but I say it because it's stuck to my life, man. I had a therapist who said it, and I said it last time I was on the show. Replace your negatives with a positive, man. And it sounds so cliche, but you have to because it's so easy to get into that negative mindset. But if you slip something that you know that's gonna make you feel positive, like, hey, maybe you're seeing um, people promoting things you don't want to see on Instagram. Well, think about your family. Think about uh, your maybe nieces or nephews or sisters, and that your brothers and sisters. That's that flame, that fire that it won't go out of you because that's something that gets me up out of bed is people that I love and just wanting to see them at dinner time and just getting their text messages every day, man. It's when I say this, if you guys hear me, send a text message to your loved ones and just say, hey, I appreciate you for being who you are and see where that leads you. Because I'll tell you what, you a lot of people don't hear it enough on a day to day basis. Me and
Mhm.
Joe, we'll get off the phone and say, hey man, love you, man. That goes a long way. A lot of brothers don't know that. I love hearing, I love you, man, because hey, man, you don't know when you'll hear from that person again. Life's so short.
Yeah,
So
hell of a point there. And the three things I'll end with this, and I'll let you cap it off. The three things that helped me with that, being kind to myself, is a surrender prayer.
yeah,
I mean, I literally I'll get in a quiet space and just get in a meditative prayer, and I'll just lay it out to God. Sometimes I'll cry out to God. I'm not afraid to make. I'll cry out to God.
yeah,
I let my emotions out because I surrender to Him. I know that. I know because when I do it, man, I feel so refreshed out. And I feel like God just puts His hand on my shoulders. And I know a story recently. I'm not gonna say his name, but I'll let him tell it one day. His wife recently they had their second child, right? And they were trying to give birth, right? But she had to go into one of those operations where they had to I can't remember the name of it. I'm not sorry off the top of my head, but they basically had to do basically kind of like a surgery in a way where they had to get the kid out. You know what I mean? Like
C-section.
yeah, some of
Yeah.
that, but it was something else where they like it could be it could disable you where they kind of put like a rod
Oh,
by your spine. I can't remember the name of it.
yeah, yeah,
My apologies off the top of my head. I'm
yeah.
going
You're good.
anyway. It was something where it was a chance it could go wrong. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
He said he was sitting there in the hospital and they're going to do the procedure. And, obviously these doctors done it all the time. And, that's like they're used to they're like, it's fine. Well, we do this all the time. She'll be fine. And, but he said he just started praying in the hallway. He just got on a chair and just started praying. He just surrendered to God. And he said he felt like it was like God's hand got on his shoulder and was like, I got it. And everything went perfect. Baby was born, beautiful baby girl, and wife recovered fine. And everything was good. You know what I mean? So, um, I think that's another example right there of surrender. But I think for me, it's meditative prayer,
Yeah.
right? I think having community and people you can like humble, you can call on and just tell them that and spread love and spread. positivity, because you'll find it in return. So I think those are the three things for me. It's just surrendering to God, having a good support group, and then having that kind of communication with people too, and communicate. Those are the three things that help me the most.
And
I'll let you cap it off, Humble. I got my man from Chicago's in the house. He said, "Kyler Murray, bro, this is so clickbait." Browns have quarterback at Sanders and Watson. Don't forget all the money he's tied to Watson. The O-liner issues, good talking points. Well, you must have been late to the party, because everything you said, I actually agree with you. I said I wouldn't bring Kyler Murray. I got to react to the news,
gotcha.
and if it is clickbait, you clicked on it, so it works. I mean, no, but no, he's my guy, Chicago. He's a good dude. We're always go. He's always he loves Shador, so I get it. But no, I would not bring Kyler Murray. I made that clear earlier, but I don't want to get off track. But I agree with your points actually in the comment. But appreciate you tuning in, my friend. Yeah, Humble, you can cap it off though, bro.
Hey man, just last thing, man, as far as like being kind to yourself, man, don't be afraid to laugh at your own jokes, people, as corny as it sounds. People are gonna say, man, he thinks he's so funny. Laugh at your jokes, man. Life's short. Think of yourself funny, man. Love yourself, man. It's so cliche, but it's so true. Just be okay with yourself, man. And that's all I got, man. I appreciate Joe for letting me come up here and share our conversations. This is good stuff, man. And yeah.
Oh no, he said I click on here for you, bro. You have a great show. I'm late though. No, you're good, bro. It's all good. I got a bunch of jobs. It's all good. Yeah, man, go back and watch on the playback. But I agree. You'll hear a lot of what I laid out. Why I wouldn't bring Kyler Murray and why I think it's gonna be Watson, Shador, and for sure. But I appreciate you, my friend, for tuning in. I'm glad you enjoy the show, and I enjoy viewers like yourself who are passionate and are real. Good people, and we just keep it ball at the end of the day. Love football, and yeah. So shout out to you guys. It's pretty cool connecting with all you guys too, all over.
Always.
But yeah, man, make sure you guys like, subscribe, share all that good stuff. Shout out to man Humble again for coming up here with another great show at a second appearance.
Oh, it's no problem, man.
And I say second appearance as like the co-host. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, for
actually,
sure.
He was the host for the last one there. So shout out to you, and shout out to your mom again.
Shout out to moms, man. All the moms around the world.
Shout out to Mama Humble. But shout out to all you guys on the playback and the comments, and like, subscribe, share all the good stuff. We'll see you guys next one. We're out of here.
Out of here.
Gone.